President Muhammadu Buhari has signed into law a long-awaited piece of legislation designed to overhaul the oil and gas industry in Africa's biggest crude producer. A harmonized version of the Petroleum Industry Bill, or the PIB as it's more commonly known, wrapped up its passage through both houses of parliament in the middle of July, nearly 2 decades after it was first introduced. The law aims to create a much clearer framework for operations and also simplify taxes and royalties for oil companies working in Africa's top oil producer. But it did add provisions, including one that could give the Dangote Group an effective monopoly on fuel, and that has launched last-minute battles in Africa's largest oil exporter. At the moment, 23 companies have refining licenses, which according to the Department of Petroleum Resources, most of them, however, process less than 12,000 barrels of crude a day. The Dangote refinery, which is under construction in Lagos by the billionaire Aliko Dangote, will have the capacity to handle some 650,000 barrels of crude every day. So let's examine this development in a bit more detail. Dauda Garuba is a natural resource expert. He joins us now live from Abuja. Dauda, thank you very much for your time this evening. Just as a matter of concern, did you think you'd ever see this point with the PIB after spending 20 years in legislation? Did you think this day would finally come? Dauda, can you hear me? If you can hear me clearly, did you ever think
Hello?
this? Can you hear me clearly? Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing now.
Okay, perfect. So did you ever think this day would come? The PIB has languished in legislative limbo for over 20 years, and now finally it's become law.
Yes, that is true, that Nigerians are happy that after 20 years of starting this journey, we are gradually putting it behind us. But what I've always argued is that it's one thing to make a law, it's another thing to implement or enforce that particular law. Given that this country started on a note of we'll be working on the 1969 law that have been passed left, right, and center over the years or decades. And now I think we are ready to start to do business, at least in a form that is maybe going to be commensurate with contemporary development in the oil and gas sector.
Okay,
so to this extent, most Nigerians.
So walk us through the key changes here then, because the 1969 law was written for a very different period of time. How do taxes and royalties on oil and gas firms compare in the PIB now compared to the 1969 law?
Yeah, actually, the fiscal regimes or fiscal arrangement in the laws we've had over the years have been maybe from time to time modified since 1969, 1999, 2003, 2019 upward, and there have been from time to time an adjustment to the rules. But I think what has come out very clearly with respect to, for instance, the royalty, is the fact that unlike a situation where royalty had staggered from 2.5% to up to 18 or 20%, depending on the terrain, whether it is onshore, whether it's shallow waters or offshore. The current situation tend to put an end to some of those staggered arrangement. And one of the key focus, especially with respect to royalty, is that you will going to be having 15% for onshore areas and 12.5% for shallow waters and 7.5% for deep offshore and frontier bases. And for the gas, it's going to be between 2.5 and 5% for natural gas. And all arrangements are largely in tune with either the nature of the terrain or sometimes the quantum of what is produced.
Okay, so there are concerns that we're hearing about from Nigeria that this might give Aliko Dangote a dominant position in the domestic fuel market, given the size of the refinery he's building in Lagos. That can handle over 600,000 barrels of crude a day. Walk us through those concerns. Are they valid?
Actually, this is an area that has attracted public debate, especially when the bill was passed by the House of Representatives and the Nigerian Senate. What actually was the key issue was that Nigerians couldn't understand why license was given only to refineries businesses that have the capacity to refine products locally. And the argument was that if they were already having the capacity to refine product locally, what business would they be having with importation? And this seems to have raged on for a long time, and including those who often call the independent marketers now ganging up to push for the reversal of such this thing. The bill was just signed yesterday into law, and until we see the details, we will know whether those aspects of it has been taken care of. But largely speaking, the arrangement is that there was this belief that anything that has to do with energy is largely related to national security, and that the experiences of the country over the years where companies or local companies were just picking up licensing and importing fuel products without regard to the quality of the fuel that is coming into the country, or maybe who were largely involved in graft. The arrangement was actually designed by the National Assembly to ensure that somebody will have to carry the blame when there are answered for the blame when there are need for that.